There is a specific kind of pain that has no visible source, no bruise, no cut, no swelling. Nothing a doctor could point to on an X-ray or treat with medication. You feel it in your chest, sometimes in your stomach, occasionally in your throat. It arrives when someone leaves, when a room full of people makes you feel invisible, when your phone stays silent for just a little too long. Most people call it an emotion. They are wrong. What you are feeling is pain, actual, measurable, neurological pain. And the experiment that proved it changed everything we thought we knew about what loneliness actually is. In 2003, a neuroscientist named Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA wanted to answer a question that sounded almost too simple to be worth asking. When people say that rejection hurts, are they speaking literally? Not metaphorically, not poetically. Literally. Does social pain use the same neural machinery as physical pain? To find out, she designed one of the most quietly devastating experiments in the history of neuroscience. She put participants inside an fMRI scanner, a machine that measures blood flow in the brain in real time, and had them play a simple computer game called Cyberball. The game was straightforward. 3 players tossed a virtual ball back and forth. The participant controlled one player. The other 2 were controlled, they were told, by other people somewhere else in the building. For the first few minutes, everything was normal. The ball came to them. They threw it back. A simple, meaningless game. Then, without warning or explanation, the other 2 players stopped passing to them. The participant watched as the ball went back and forth between the other 2 players, again and again while they stood there. Not yelled at, not insulted, simply left out. That was the entire experiment, a ball game. And what happened inside the scanner was not what anyone expected. The anterior cingulate cortex lit up. This is a region deep in the brain that has one primary function. It processes physical pain. The same region that activates when you burn your hand, when you break a bone, when you stub your toe in the dark at 3 in the morning. The same region, not a neighboring region, not a related region. The exact same neural circuitry that your brain uses to register that something is physically wrong with your body fired in response to being left out of a ball game by strangers on a computer screen. Eisenberger's response when she saw the data was to run it again, then again. The result held every time. Social pain and physical pain are not 2 different things processed by different systems that happen to feel similar. They are the same thing, processed by the same system, in the same place. Your brain does not distinguish between a broken arm and a broken friendship at the level of neural architecture. It files both under the same category. Damage, threat, something is wrong. But here is where it gets stranger. In a follow-up study, Eisenberger gave participants acetaminophen, standard over-the-counter pain medication, for 3 weeks. Then, she measured their daily feelings of social pain, the everyday sting of feeling excluded or disconnected. The participants taking the pain medication reported significantly lower levels of social pain than those taking a placebo. Tylenol reduced loneliness, not because loneliness is imaginary, because it is real pain, running through real pain pathways, responding to the same interventions that work on physical pain. The metaphor was never a metaphor. When someone tells you that rejection hurts, they are giving you a precise neurological description of what is happening inside their skull. Now take that finding and hand it to a researcher named John Cacioppo, because Cacioppo spent 30 years asking the next question. If loneliness is pain, what does chronic pain do to a body over time? The answer was worse than anyone expected. Cacioppo, who was a social neuroscientist at the University of Chicago, conducted some of the most comprehensive longitudinal studies ever run on loneliness and physical health. What he found was that chronic loneliness, the persistent feeling of social disconnection over months and years, does not just feel bad. It systematically dismantles the body. Lonely people have higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, circulating in their blood at all times. Their immune systems shift into a state of chronic low-grade inflammation, the kind associated with heart disease, diabetes, and accelerated aging. Their sleep is more fragmented. Their cardiovascular systems work harder at rest. Their DNA repair mechanisms function less efficiently. In one of Cacioppo's most cited findings, chronic loneliness was associated with a 26% increase in the risk of premature death, greater than obesity, comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. The thing people dismiss as an emotion, the thing we tell each other to just get over, is quietly doing the same damage to the body as a pack and a half of cigarettes every single day. But why? Why would evolution build a system this brutal? Why would being left out of a ball game activate the same circuitry as breaking a bone? The answer, when you see it, is obvious. And it is also one of the most clarifying things you will ever learn about yourself. For almost the entire history of our species, being separated from your group was not a social inconvenience. It was a death sentence. A human alone on the African savanna 100,000 years ago was not lonely in the way we use that word today. They were exposed to predators, to starvation, to the cold, to everything the group protected against. The survival rate of a lone human in that environment was effectively zero. Your brain evolved to treat social disconnection as an emergency for the same reason it evolved to treat a broken bone as an emergency. Because in the environment where that brain developed, both of them could kill you with roughly equal efficiency. Loneliness hurts because for hundreds of thousands of years, it was supposed to. The pain was the signal. Get back to the group, find your people, reconnect or die. The system worked perfectly for the entire span of human evolution. And then modernity arrived and broke it completely. Because here is what no one designed for. A world where you can be surrounded by 8 billion people and still be completely alone. A world where you can have 1,000 connections on a screen and feel nothing that registers as real contact in the ancient parts of your brain that are still running the Savannah software. Cacioppo's research found that it is not the number of social contacts that determines whether someone feels lonely. It is the quality of feeling understood and belonging within those contacts. You can be married and profoundly lonely. You can live in a dense city and be more isolated than someone in a remote village who sees 3 people a week. The brain is not counting contacts. It is measuring something far more specific, something harder to fake, something that a notification cannot provide. And in 2023, the United States Surgeon General issued an advisory declaring loneliness a public health epidemic. Approximately half of American adults reported measurable levels of loneliness. In the United Kingdom, the government created a minister for loneliness. We are living through the most socially connected moment in human history by every measurable external metric. And we are experiencing a loneliness crisis that is killing people at the scale of a chronic disease. The chest tightness you felt the last time you were excluded from something. The way a quiet apartment can feel like a physical weight. The specific ache of being in a room full of people and feeling completely invisible. That was not weakness. That was not you being oversensitive or overly emotional. That was your anterior cingulate cortex doing exactly what it was built to do. Filing a report, flagging an emergency, sending a signal that has kept humans alive for hundreds of thousands of years. The signal that says something is wrong. Get back. Reconnect. You were not built to do this alone. The problem is not the signal. The problem is that we have built a world where the signal never stops firing, and we have somehow convinced ourselves that feeling it is a personal failing rather than a biological alarm. Naomi Eisenberger put people in a brain scanner and made them play a ball game. What she found was that the most dismissed, minimized, and misunderstood experience in modern human life is not a feeling, it is a wound. And it has been one for as long as we have been human. The ball never came back to them, and something in their brain registered it exactly the same way it would register a hand held over a flame. That is not a metaphor. That is a scan. That is data. That is what you are made of.